Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha, Racha, Kodash, Amath. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders. Double honors to my elder, Harawan Ban Yasharala of the Lions Den Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. Salutations to the sincere Akim pushing his truth and sincerity around the four corners of this earth. I'm Nakar Harab Ban Yasharala coming out of the Lions Den Camp of Yasharala here in Jacksonville, Florida. Now today I'll be coming out with a little small lesson. Title of it is, do you rebuke yourself? You know, do you examine yourself? Do you cut yourself with the scriptures? And i.e. the reason why that's the title of this lesson is posing the question, do you correct yourself with the scriptures? Because we have, wicked thoughts. Of course, we're in this flesh, and we all know that this flesh is contrary to the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. It's contrary to righteousness. So sometimes, you have some thoughts that come through your la'ab, your mind. Sometimes you just got to go to the scriptures and be like, oh, nah. That ain't acceptable. And sometimes you must rebuke yourself, correct yourself, reprove yourself. So again, do you rebuke yourself? Do you correct yourself? Do you reprove yourself? Do you look for scriptures to cut yourself when you for lack of a better term or explanation, thinking crazy or thinking retarded? Do you look for scriptures to do that? So without further ado, I'm gonna bring out these couple of scriptures. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 28. And by the way, before I start, I would say from verse 23 on down, well, at least from 23 to 29, this is Yahweh Shai and the disciples during the Passover. And it was basically saying, it was a commemoration for Yahweh Shai, a covenant. As long as you are eating the bread and drinking of the cup of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you show the Lord death until he comes. Just to give you an understanding. But my point is verse 28. And it says, again, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 28. It says, but let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. So you must examine yourself. Sometimes you must rebuke yourself. You must reprove yourself. Sometimes you must cut yourself with the scriptures. Because we are in these chains of darkness. We're in this flesh. And we have a la'ab, a heart, that is deceitful and desperately wicked. And sometimes we have to read, I would say sometimes, for lack of a better term, there are times where we have to read the scriptures. We have to look for scriptures that cut us to get that flesh and get our mind back on track. Because, sometimes the truth is, sometimes you just have whack left field behind thoughts. It just like, it's just there. And then sometimes you have to examine yourself to see why these thoughts come. Of course, we know and understand, but sometimes you still have to examine yourself to make sure that it is not a breach in your spirit. Because the scripture's going to fix that breach. You start thinking crazy, so you can go to looking for scriptures that's going to make you feel some type of way. That's the only way that is the way to correct it. I won't say that's the only way. That is the way to correct whatever it is. But nonetheless, you must examine yourself and pay attention to how you do things according to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. You must look at yourself to see if you are doing things according to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. And you must also look at yourself to examine yourself so that you won't find yourself to be a reprobate or find yourself constantly entertaining thoughts that are not conducive for Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. So again, do you rebuke yourself? Let's continue. Let's go to Second Corinthians chapter 2. So like your 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. And it says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. So you must examine. Again, you got to examine yourself. You got to look at yourself. Sometimes you got to reprove and rebuke yourself. You got to make sure that you're in the faith, because sometimes, of course, this flesh, if you ain't keeping it in check, it's like I'll be using an analogy. It's like a powerful car. It's got a lot of torque. It's got a lot of acceleration. It's got a lot of power under the hood. And if you jump on that gas pedal, that accelerator, it'll get out from up under you. It'll fishtail, it'll get out from up under you, and you'll lose control. And you're a wreck. And I'm using that same analogy to being in this truth. There are times where you got to examine yourself. You got to make sure that you don't get out from up under yourself. You don't fishtail and spiral out of control. I.e. fall away from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Go off or anything. So you must examine yourself, i.e. or rebuke yourself, correct yourself to make sure that you're in the faith. Proving yourself, making sure that you know without a shadow of a doubt that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, his spirit is within you. And if you're failing to do that, or you're not doing that, there's a chance that you could become reprobate. And that's a dangerous thing, because we see what reprobates are. We see how they act. We see how they take correction. We see how they respond and or react to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. They don't go according to doctrine. They don't take correction. They don't respect the name of Yahweh Shai. They don't respect the name of Yahweh. They don't respect the order of Yahweh Yahweh Shai and how they set it up for it to be. So you must examine yourselves. You got to make sure that you're eating and drinking of the bread and the cup of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai the right way. Because if you're not doing this work the right way, or you're not doing what is required and or conducive of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, you could bring damnation to yourself. You could bring judgment to yourself. You could bring judgment. And when you truly fear Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, you don't want that judgment to come in his anger. You would rather him judge you, in his good pleasure and according to righteousness. So do you rebuke yourself? Do you examine yourself? Do you reprove yourself? Are you making sure that you're in the faith? Proving your own selves. Knowing that the spirit of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is within you. Because those who don't do that, we all know that they are reprobates. They don't go according to sound doctrine. They don't continue in the things that they have learned from those who taught us. From the days of old all the way to now. So again, it was just a little small lesson. Do you rebuke yourself? And with that, shalom.